We are live today at Aster CMI Hospitals, Bangalore. On the behalf of Aster CMI Hospitals, we all wish you a happy Onam. And let's start off our today's session. Today we are going to discuss about understanding immunity in children. And myself, Dr. Tejasvi, pediatric specialist, Aster CMI Hospitals, Bangalore. And here we have Dr. Sagar Bhattar with us today, who's a consultant in pediatric immunology and rheumatology, and he's first ever to do DM specialization in pediatric immunology in our country. And he also recently authored a book on common immunodeficiencies in children. Congratulations, sir, on your first book, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Tejasvi, for that nice introduction.
So, sir, let's start off our session on understanding what is immunity first. So, what does the term immunity mean? And when we are talking about immunity, we are implying immune system. So, what does this immune system consist of? What does it made up of, and how does it work?
See, to understand immunity, I would want to talk something general to begin with. See, we humans have been on this planet for somewhere around 6 million years. And obviously, we have coexisted with other organisms, some which are completely, I would say, very large compared to us, and some organisms which are so small that they are not even seen. We call them microorganisms, the bacteria, the virus. And it has been not only a coexistence, but a constant fight, a challenge to survive on this planet. I'm sure we all in these current times are facing the same challenge with the COVID, with the coronavirus around, again a challenge to the human existence. But we have always come strong, fought this well, and that is because of our immune system. So when we say immunity, it means we are immune, we are kind of protected. Protected against what? Protected against the bad bugs, the microorganisms like the bacteria, virus, so many of them which can enter our body and harm us. So what is that army in our body that protects us against these bad bugs? We call it the immune system. It is the white blood cells in our body which form the army, and it is these white blood cells that constantly are fighting infections. Some of these white cells produce bullets. These bullets we call in medical language antibodies. And these antibodies also make sure that we are able to fight off these infections. Just like our army, which is always ready to fight our enemy, but is also able to differentiate between ourselves and the enemy, our immune system should also do that. What I'm trying to tell is that a healthy immune system will not attack one's own body, but would attack something which is an invader. So it is these white cells which I would say is the army and which is responsible for immunity.
So we all know that newborn babies are very vulnerable to infections. So do newborn babies have immunity? Is it present right from the birth, or is it something that develops later?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I would say newborns, when babies are born, we know they are so delicate, and we are always, even as doctors, concerned that if a newborn or a young baby catches an infection, it can become serious. So the question is whether newborns have an immunity right from birth. Do they have these white blood cells? Answer is yes. They do have white blood cells. They do have an immune system. But the thing is, their immune system is immature. I would not say abnormal. These two terms must be differentiated. Not abnormal, but immature, not mature. The white cells are able to produce antibodies, but they are not completely mature. And that is why whenever a newborn or a child in the first 6 months catches any infection, we are concerned that this infection can become serious. But then as we grow, we learn along. So what I'm trying to tell is that I would say immune system is a fantastic student. The immune system keeps learning along. So as children keep getting infections, they develop something called memory to those infections, the immune memory. So that the next time the same child faces the same virus, he is able to fight it off even before the virus does something. So this is the immune memory that helps these children fight infections as we grow older. And that is why adults have fantastic maturity of the immune system. They have this memory that keeps fighting off infections. Just to quote an example, I'm sure you know chicken pox. something that you get once in life, you usually would not get it for the second time. And that is because of the memory of your immune system, that you would be protected by this virus.
So one of interesting questions from one of our viewers, Mr. Arjun is asking, my child keeps falling ill again and again. He had multiple episodes of fever when he joined school during the first year. What should I do?
I think this is a very, very common question that I face even in my, I would say, outpatient department. There are parents who are constantly concerned that their children are getting frequent fevers. Now, one thing we must understand is that one of the most common reason why children are brought to the outpatient department, to pediatricians, is because of fever. Now, fever is a symptom of an infection that is happening in the body, and especially during the first year of schooling or when children are put in the daycares, you would see that the first year is quite a troubled year in the sense they keep getting fevers, cough, cold. They seem to get better, and the next month they catch up another cough, cold and fever, and naturally the parents are concerned. But the very basic question I want parents out there to understand, why do you mount fever? Whenever a bug enters our body's immune system is always prepared to fight it off. And one of the mechanisms of this defense in our body is to produce fever. So fever helps us raise the temperature in our body, which is able to kill many of these bacteria and virus. And the second important thing, whenever you get fever, you know that there is something wrong. So it acts as an alarm system for us that if somebody is having fever, there must be something wrong. So I would say fever is not all that bad. And the basic problem is the fear of fever, the phobia of fever, which many parents have. They should not have that phobia. Fever is good. What we need to know is what is causing it so that we can treat it. And one simple message I would want to give to this parent here is that if your child is catching fevers which are short lasting, less than 5 days, and the child is otherwise active, feeding, not having any danger signs which we usually say like fast breathing or rashes or any of those signs, you need not worry. You need not bother. Also, there is no role of antibiotics in these viral fevers. In fact, they may do more harm than good. So understanding this basic...
Some technical issues. So let's continue our session, sir. So having talked about childhood infections, do early childhood infections help build immunity in children in later life?
Yeah, again, for the viewers, I would like to say sorry for the interruption. I think we are in a virtual world and we'll have to live with the hiccups of the virtual world as well. So do early childhood infections build a stronger immunity or protect us? So I'm sure I tried to answer it in the previous question that as in childhood, it is very natural to get frequent viral fevers. You would see children coming to us, especially during the first few years of schooling, with fevers coming every month. Now, naturally, what happens is most often once you have got an infection for the first time, you are protected against it most often in the coming years. So what does that mean? It's called immune memory. So this immune memory kind of modulates the immune system. It changes our immune system. That means if you have had few infections in your childhood, maybe it's good for you because it is protecting you as you grow along. The second thing I would want to tell you is about the hygiene hypothesis here. Now we all know over the last few decades, especially in the West, now in Bangalore and several other places in India, there has been an, I would say, phenomenal increase in allergic disorders. You would see a lot of children coming with asthma, frequent sneezing, we call it allergic rhinitis. Why is this so? I mean to say, why in the last few years suddenly so many children developing allergies? And this is because the lesser number of infections they develop during the childhood. And that is what we call the hygiene hypothesis, wherein too much of hygiene probably is protecting you from infections, but is diverting your immune system in such a way that the body is now reacting to substances like dust, substances like pollutants which it should not have reacted to, causing allergy. So I would say yes, early childhood infections do make a big difference to the overall build-up of the immune system of a child.
That was very informative, sir. Mrs. Sarika is asking, when should I worry about poor immunity in my child? When should I consult a specialist?
Yeah, so I think that is a very, very good question because we are telling that a lot of children do keep developing fevers, but then at least out there, I would say majority of children who have frequent fevers are healthy by the virtue of their immune system. They are healthy, but then unfortunately there are a few kids out there who are getting frequent fevers, frequent infections, and they have something serious in their immune system. We call these diseases the primary immune deficiencies. That means these are genetic diseases. Right from birth there is something wrong in their immune system. The white cells probably are not developed properly, and these children keep getting recurrent infections. So what are those warning signs? When should you actually ask your pediatrician that I want to see an immunologist? If your child is developing chest infection, that is pneumonia, and he is getting hospitalized not once but say for the second time, for the third time, so pneumonia going on for repeated times, you should consult an immunologist. If your child is developing diarrhea, see, having diarrhea an episode of loose stools is not uncommon, but frequent loose stools, and then the child is not growing well, the child is failing to thrive. What do I mean failure to thrive? A child by the age of 4 should have an height of about 100 centimeters. But if your child is not attaining that potential, that means there is something wrong. If your child is catching frequent skin infections and you are troubled taking multiple antibiotics, you should seek and consult from an immunologist. And some of these diseases I said are genetic. That means there can be multiple family members affected in a given family. If the first child is having recurrent infections, you are troubled, and somehow your second child is also catching recurrent serious infections, you know that there is something wrong in this family. They should consult an immunologist. So whenever you see these warning signs, you should go out and seek for a immunological test.
Thank you, sir. So, what factors will help build immunity? Is it genetic or environmental? Which has more major role to play?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I would say whether it is genetics, that means whether I'm born with a good immune system, or is it my environment that determines whether I'm going to have a strong immune system. I would say both. Now, genetics is very important. See, when you are born, there are so many genes in our body. I would say the gene determines everything in our body. The color of the eye, somebody has a brown, somebody has a blue color, and that is because your genes are different. In the same way, the white cells, their function, the antibodies that your body produces is all defined by the genes in our body. So if there is a defect in one of these genes, naturally your immune system is weaker. You are going to get recurrent serious infections, and that is what we call the genetic immune deficiencies. But then it is not all about genetics. Even children who are born with good genetics, I mean to say healthy immune system, can then go on to have a lot of problems in their life because of the environmental exposure. So let us begin from the day one of our life. When we are born, we know some of us are delivered by cesarean section, and the natural route is the birth canal of the mother. So children who are born through the natural route, they get that bacterial flora from the mother's birth canal, which fills their intestine and changes their immune system. So that is the very first environmental exposure that we get. The next exposure is your breast milk. Children who are breastfed definitely have a stronger and healthier immune system, a lot of less allergic diseases in their future life. So breastfeeding for the first 6 months makes a big difference. The next thing is the complementary feeding. That is the feeding that you start in your child after 6 months. Breast milk is insufficient to provide the right immunity after 6 months. So beyond breast milk, giving the right kind of food after 6 months becomes very essential. Your environmental exposures, for example, having a lot of exposures to pollutants may make a child allergic. So even exposures in the atmosphere makes a big difference. And not to forget vaccinations. The vaccinations, some of them being mandatory, definitely change our immune system, because these vaccinations now make our immune system prepared to fight the common infections. So I can say not only genetics but environmental exposures, your diet, everything does make a big difference.
Yes, sir. We have one more question from one of the viewers, sir. What special food should I give to my child to build his immunity? And I think this question will never be out of place, sir. So
yeah, what special food? I would want to put that special into the highlight. So I'm sure this is a very, very common question. Like even we are parents, and we do understand that every child wants to give something special to his. So every parent wants to give something special to his child. Now, I naturally ask when a parent or a father asks me this question, what special food do I give? I ask him back, what special food did your mother give? Then he is left with sometimes no answer. He says, what special? 20 years back, 30 years back, they were like we were in joint families, they were grandparents most often taking care of us. We ate healthy food at home, and now we are all okay. So that is the healthy food. Food that is cooked at home, freshly cooked, is what I would say is the healthy food. There is nothing called special food. I would also strongly recommend people watching this session. A week back, somewhere on 24th of this month, Dr. Harish from our department here spoke on diet. I think that was a fantastic session. You should go back and watch. 30-minute session on diet, and a lot of questions being answered there, I would say. So I won't say anything is special, but there are some things which are no. I'm sure I'm repeating. No to junk food, no to food that is preserved with a lot of preservatives for a longer time. Replace sugar with jaggery wherever possible, because lesser is the sugar intake, healthier is your immune system. Why so much about diet and immune system? Why do we talk so much? Because our immune system is made up of, I said, immune cells, white cells. 70 to 80% of your immune cells reside in your gut. That's a big number. That means what you eat determines how healthy is your gut, and that determines how healthy is your immune system. So naturally, food does make a big difference to the development of an immunity in a given child.
Thank you, sir. One of the common questions asked by all the parents who walk into our OPD, sir, what are the commercially available products that they can give to their children to boost their immunity? Likewise, there are so many immunity boosters available in the market. So which one do you suggest for building immunity in my child is one of the questions from our viewers.
I think this is again a big challenge out there, with a lot of products being marketed as these so-called immune boosters. I think I will have to again reiterate and repeat the fact that nothing can replace a healthy food that is cooked at home. A balanced diet is what is the right immune booster. Now, naturally, people during this pandemic are concerned, why don't I take vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, and so many nutrients out there? So to give an idea to the viewers out there, see, we have two kinds of nutrients, something we call macronutrients, which we need in large quantities, like the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, because they not only build immune system, they build our body, our muscles, our bones. The entire body is built out of proteins, so you need proteins, carbs, and fats in larger quantity, but in a balanced way, in a balanced diet. And then there are some things like vitamins, minerals. You don't need them in large quantity. We call them micronutrients. But these micronutrients play very important role in modulating the immune system of our body. So it is right that we should take vitamin C, we should have vitamin D, we should have zinc. But why go for artificial sources? Why not look them into your food? Citrus fruits like your oranges, lemon, I would say guava. So all these things are very rich in vitamin C. Cashew nuts are rich in zinc. And for non-vegetarians out there, there is a lot of food available which is rich in zinc and all these material. Iron again is so much rich in jaggery, I would say in dates, and a lot of non-vegetarian stuff is rich in iron. So look for these elements, micronutrients in your food. If you can start viewing your food as nutrition, not for the taste of your tongue, but for your nutrition, I am sure we are going to eat healthy and we are going to grow healthy. So I can't deny the fact that diet plays an important role, but then I think the current challenge is having lesser number of children. We are too occupied giving them what is artificially prepared. We want everything ready-made, a booster which will suddenly boost immune system. Nothing is going to make our children Shaktiman like that. So it is better we go back to what was always taught by our ancestors, that food which is cooked at home is what can act as the booster for your and for everyone's child.
Thank you, sir. Can you please tell us a few do's and don'ts regarding building immunity in children?
Yeah, I think that would be kind of a takeaway that we want to give away from this session. What are the do's and what are the don'ts? I think if I have to begin with the do's, when a baby is born, if we can do justice to our babies, I think the first thing that every mother should try her best to do is to breastfeed her child. At least for the first 6 months, exclusive breastfeeding. No water, because breast milk is rich in water. You don't even need to give water, and because nature has made the milk so much adequate. In fact, for preterm babies, the milk that is produced by the preterm mother, I would say the mother, is actually adequate, and then we add on some supplements whenever it is necessary. The doctors will advise you. So I would say the first do is breastfeeding. The second do is the complementary feeding. I have seen a few children are kept on breast milk or only on milk for the first year, and then they come with they look malnourished, they have not gained weight. So that is not the right thing to do. After 6 months, you should consult your pediatrician and ask for the right kind of complementary food. Complementary means it complements your breast milk, and then you start with semi-solid diet, and that is the second do to building a strong immune system. The third do would be a balanced diet. What I want to say is, at least in the dinner time, your plate, half of it should be vegetables and fruits. And let me tell you, children don't listen to you, children follow you. So if the family is going to sit together and eat healthy food, the child is going to naturally learn it along with it. The next do is vaccinations, which is a mandatory thing. And these vaccines can protect us from so many lethal diseases. I'm sure today with the COVID pandemic, everyone knows what's the value of a vaccine. We are all waiting eagerly for the COVID vaccine. And then one more do I would want to suggest is the physical activity. Lot of virtual activities going on these days, and last few days we also had a digital detox session by Dr. Ravi. So we really need a detox from this digital world. Virtual world is not the real world. We need to go out, promote physical activity in our children. Only then we can build a healthy immune system. Now, what are the don'ts? Don't. I would say one important don't is, please, no screen during food. I'm sure many people out there would be saying, what does Dr. Sagar know about feeding a child? I can tell you now, I know how to feed a child because I have a 3-year-old child, and thanks to this pandemic I'm spending more time with my child. What I realize is, what as parents we lack is time for our children. A meal for a child would take 40 to 45 minutes, a toddler I would say by my experience. And if you can spend 45 minutes with your child, you don't need a screen. In good old times, we have the company of grandparents. They would spend a lot of time, play with the kid, and that is where the child is engaged while feeding. Now, parents don't have time. And then you want to engage your child with the screen and ask your doctor, how do I feed my toddler? He keeps running around. Naturally, he has to run around. That is what he's meant to do. So please give time while feeding. And that is the quality time that you give, is what is going to build a strong immune system for your child. No to immune boosters, no to junk food, and if you can have no to these stuff, and you have few do's and few don'ts, we all can build a strong nation. I see that the future of the nation depends on children today, and this session on diet or this session on immunity matters a lot to the coming generations. I hope we have tried to clarify a few of your queries.
Thank you, sir. That is a very valuable information. And that's a wrap. I hope we answered all your questions. If you have any more queries, please drop it in our comment box. Our experts will get back to you soon. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.